Hey, welcome back. If you are watching this right now, pause the noise around you and stay with me for the next few minutes because what you are about to hear could truly change the way you eat, the way you feel, and maybe even how well your body carries you through the next 10 years and beyond. I know what many people think at first, vegetables are vegetables. They are all healthy. Just eat more greens and you are fine. That is the message most of us heard for years. Finish your plate. Eat your vegetables, protect your health. And for a big part of life, that advice sounds reasonable. But here is the part almost nobody explains clearly. After 60, your body does not respond to food the same way it did at 30 or even 45. Things shift quietly, deeply. Sometimes you do not notice it until symptoms begin to show up. Your gut changes, hormones move in a different rhythm, metabolism slows, kidneys do not filter in the same strong way, joints carry more wear. Blood vessels have seen decades of pressure and strain. Because of that, some vegetables that seem harmless can start working against you at this stage of life. Not because they are bad foods overall, but because your body now handles them differently. And on the other side of that story, some vegetables become almost like support tools for aging bodies. They can help calm inflammation, support the heart, protect the brain, strengthen bones, and help your system do what it is slowly finding harder to do on its own. Today we are going to walk through both sides, 3 vegetables to be careful with and 3 you may want to put into your weekly routine on purpose. And yes, the last part matters most, so do not click away yet. Before we get into the list, I want to give you the reason behind it, because once you understand why this happens, the whole thing becomes easier to remember and easier to use in real life. One of the biggest changes after 60 is the steady rise of chronic low-level inflammation. This is not the kind of inflammation you see after a twisted ankle. That kind is sharp, visible, and often useful. What I'm talking about is the slow kind, the kind that sits in the background all day and all night, quietly wearing down tissues, blood vessels, joints, and even brain cells. Many researchers connect this slow inflammation with aging itself. It is now linked to heart disease, type 2 diabetes, memory decline, arthritis, and some cancers. At the same time, the digestive system becomes more sensitive. The gut lining can thin, good bacteria can drop, enzyme output slows. Foods that once felt easy can now trigger bloating, gas, heaviness, or poor nutrient absorption. And then there are the kidneys. This part is often missed. Kidney function naturally declines with age, and that matters because some vegetables are high in compounds like oxalates or potassium, which younger kidneys often handle without trouble, while older kidneys may struggle more. That can raise the risk of kidney stones, blood mineral imbalance, and even issues that affect heart rhythm. Then we add one more layer. Many people over 60 take daily medication. And yes, some vegetables can affect how certain medicines work in the body. That is not a tiny detail. That can change how much of a drug stays active in your system. So this is not about fear. It is about smart choices. Keep watching because the first vegetable on the caution list is one many people think is one of the healthiest foods on earth. The first one to treat with care is raw spinach. And this surprises people because spinach has a perfect health image. It is packed with nutrients. It gives you folate, iron, vitamin K, and useful antioxidants. None of that is false. Spinach has value, but raw spinach also contains a very high amount of oxalates, and that is where the problem starts for many older adults. Oxalates are natural plant compounds. In moderate amounts, many people can deal with them just fine, but as kidney function gets weaker with age, the body may not clear oxalates as smoothly as it once did. Here's why that matters. Oxalates can bind with calcium and form calcium oxalate crystals. Those crystals are the main material found in many kidney stones. And if you have ever had a kidney stone, you already know this is not a small issue. It can be one of the most painful experiences a person ever goes through. But the story does not end there. High oxalate intake may also interfere with the absorption of calcium and magnesium, 2 minerals older adults need badly for bone and muscle health. Some experts also believe oxalates may add stress in people already dealing with joint discomfort. Now here is the key point, and this changes everything. The issue is not spinach as a whole. The bigger issue is eating large amounts of it raw, especially every day in giant salads or green smoothies. That is where risk can quietly build up. Cooking spinach helps lower its oxalate content a lot. Steam it, saute it, add a little olive oil and garlic. It still gives you nutrients, but with far less stress on the body. If you love spinach, fine. keep it. Just change the form. That small shift can make a real difference, especially if kidney stones or kidney problems are already part of your history. The second group to watch is raw cruciferous vegetables, especially when eaten in large amounts. That means raw kale, raw broccoli, raw Brussels sprouts, and raw cauliflower. And let me be clear, because this part gets misunderstood fast. These vegetables are not the enemy. In many ways, they are amazing foods. They are full of fiber, vitamins, antioxidants, and special plant compounds linked to lower cancer risk. That part is true, but for people over 60, the raw version in big portions can bring some real problems. One reason is that these vegetables contain compounds often called goitrogens. And these compounds can interfere with iodine use in the thyroid, and the thyroid needs iodine to make hormones that control metabolism, energy, mood, temperature, and more. Thyroid function already tends to slow with age, especially in women, and many older adults are either on thyroid medicine or living with low thyroid function without even knowing it. So when someone with a weak thyroid starts eating huge raw kale salads every day, thinking they are doing the perfect health move, they may actually be making a hidden problem worse. The next issue is digestion. Raw cruciferous vegetables are tough for many aging guts. They are high in fiber, yes, but the raw structure can be hard to break down. That can lead to bloating, gas, belly pressure, and discomfort that lasts for hours. Some people ignore those signs, but the body is speaking. It is saying this food is not being handled well in this form. The good news is simple and practical. Cook them, steam them, roast them, stir-fry them. Heat helps reduce the troublesome compounds and makes the fiber much easier to digest. And honestly, roasted broccoli and Brussels sprouts can taste incredible. So do not remove these vegetables from your life. Just stop forcing your older body to fight through the raw version in oversized amounts. That is the smarter move. Now let's talk about the third caution area, and this one matters most for a certain group of people, though that group is large enough that it deserves real attention. I am talking about raw tomatoes, and more broadly, nightshade vegetables like bell peppers, eggplant, and white potatoes. Now, tomatoes do have benefits. They contain lycopene, a powerful antioxidant linked to heart health and possibly protection against certain cancers. So again, this is not about calling tomatoes bad. It is about knowing when they may become a problem. Nightshade vegetables contain natural compounds called alkaloids. In many people, these compounds cause no issue at all. But in some older adults, especially those dealing with arthritis, rheumatoid arthritis, chronic joint stiffness, or other inflammatory conditions, nightshades appear to make symptoms worse. Not for everyone, but often enough that it is worth paying attention. Some people notice more pain, more swelling, more stiffness, and more joint discomfort when these foods are common in the diet. There is also the gut side of the story. In sensitive people, these compounds may irritate the digestive tract and help trigger inflammation through the gut. And then there is raw tomato specifically. It is acidic. That matters because acid reflux and heartburn become much more common with age as the lower esophageal muscle weakens. So if you are over 60 and keep getting heartburn after salads, sandwiches, or tomato-heavy meals, raw tomatoes could be part of that pattern. There's one more angle. Tomatoes can also be high in histamine, and some older adults do not break histamine down as well as they used to. That can show up as headaches, flushing, stuffy nose, tiredness, or a strange reactive feeling after meals. Here's the practical answer. If you suspect nightshades worsen your joints, remove them for 4 to 6 weeks and watch what happens. And with tomatoes, cooking can help a lot. Cooked tomatoes often feel gentler, and the lycopene becomes easier for the body to use. So once again, form matters. Now let's shift into the part that really matters, because avoiding a few mistakes is useful, but giving your body foods that actively support aging well is where the real power is. The first vegetable you should think seriously about eating often after 60 is garlic. Some people do not even think of garlic as a vegetable in the usual sense, but it absolutely belongs here, and it may be one of the most useful foods in the kitchen for older adults. Garlic contains sulfur compounds, and one of the most talked about is allicin, which is formed when garlic is chopped or crushed. That detail matters. When you break the garlic open, the chemistry changes and the active compounds begin to form. And these compounds have been linked with strong effects in the body. Garlic may help fight harmful microbes. It may help calm inflammation. It may support blood vessels. And this is where older adults should really pay attention, because the cardiovascular side of aging is no joke. Blood pressure rises, arteries stiffen, stroke risk climbs, heart disease remains a major threat. Garlic has been studied for its ability to help reduce blood pressure, improve cholesterol balance, and reduce the stickiness of platelets, which matters because platelets that clump too easily can raise the risk of dangerous clots. That is already impressive, but there's more. Garlic also acts like a prebiotic food, meaning it helps feed beneficial bacteria in the gut. And since the gut microbiome often becomes weaker and less diverse with age, that is a major plus. A healthier gut can support immune balance, digestion, weight control, and even mood. So garlic is not just flavor, it is support. It may also help protect the body against certain cancers and could even play a role in brain protection as the years move forward. Stay with me because the next vegetable is just as important, especially if you care about staying strong, steady, and independent later in life. To get the most from garlic, how you use it matters. Crush it or chop it first, then let it sit for about 10 minutes before cooking. That small pause gives the helpful compounds time to develop. If you throw it straight into high heat too fast, you lose part of the benefit. You do not need to do anything complicated. Just cut it, leave it for a few minutes while you prep the rest of the meal, then add it in. Many people can aim for 2 or 3 cloves a day if it sits well with them. It can go into soups, lentils, vegetables, sauces, salad dressings, beans, or roasted dishes. Simple, cheap, powerful, and this is what makes it so valuable after 60. It works quietly in the background. A little support for blood pressure, a little help for blood fats, a little extra care for circulation, some help for the microbiome. It is not magic, and it is not a replacement for medical care, but it is the kind of food that adds up over time. That matters more than flashy health trends ever will. Many people spend a fortune chasing fancy supplements while ignoring a basic ingredient already sitting in the kitchen. Garlic deserves a regular place on the plate, not once in a while, but again and again. And if raw garlic feels too strong, that is fine. Use it in cooked meals, especially near the end of cooking if possible. The point is consistency, not perfection, not extremes, just steady use. The body often responds well to repeated helpful inputs, and garlic is one of those rare foods that manages to support more than one major aging system at the same time. Heart, blood vessels, gut, immune balance, maybe even the brain. That is a very strong return from something so simple. And the next food on this list may be even more important if bone loss is on your mind. The second vegetable group to make a priority after 60 is cooked leafy greens, especially bok choy, collard greens, mustard greens, and turnip greens. If there is one area where aging can suddenly change life, it is bone health. People think of weak bones as a slow issue, but one bad fall can turn it into a major life event overnight. Hip fractures, spine fractures, and wrist fractures are common in older adults, and consequences can be serious. Loss of mobility, loss of independence, long recovery, sometimes a lasting decline that never fully reverses. That is why these greens matter so much. Most people hear the word calcium and think only about dairy, but cooked leafy greens can be excellent calcium foods too, and in some cases, the calcium is highly usable by the body. Bok choy stands out here. It gives calcium, vitamin C, potassium, and other nutrients without putting a heavy load on digestion when cooked properly. But what really makes these greens special is their vitamin K content. That matters because vitamin K helps guide calcium into bones and teeth where you want it instead of letting it build up in places like arteries where it can contribute to vascular problems. So these greens are not only helping the skeleton, they may also be supporting the cardiovascular system at the same time. That is a powerful combination for people over 60. And unlike giant raw salads that can leave some older adults bloated and uncomfortable, cooked greens are usually much gentler. The texture softens. The fiber becomes easier to manage. The meal feels warming, not stressful. If you have been underestimating simple cooked greens, this may be the moment to change that, because the strongest bodies later in life are often built on very basic habits done over and over again. There is another reason these greens deserve a regular place at the table. They fit easily into everyday meals without needing a complicated plan. Bok choy can be quickly stir-fried with garlic and a little sesame oil. Collard greens can be cooked slowly with onion and olive oil until they become rich, soft, and deeply satisfying. Mustard greens bring a sharper flavor for those who like a bit of bite. Turnip greens are often overlooked, but they can be excellent when cooked well. What matters most is not which one you choose first. What matters is that you stop treating leafy greens like a side note and start using them as a steady, weekly habit. The body after 60 needs regular support, not random bursts of healthy eating. And these vegetables offer more than bone health. They also bring antioxidants, folate, and minerals that the body uses in many systems. The better part is that when you eat them cooked, the digestion story tends to improve. For many older adults, that means less gas, less heaviness, less frustration, and better comfort after meals. That alone makes it easier to stay consistent. If you are on blood thinners, yes, talk with your doctor before making a big jump in vitamin K-rich foods, because consistency matters with those medicines. But for most people, cooked greens are one of the smartest additions they can make. You do not need to eat huge amounts. You just need to eat them regularly. A few times a week can already start moving things in the right direction. Keep going, because the last vegetable on this list may be the most surprising one of all, and it connects directly to one of the biggest fears people have as they age: losing mental sharpness and feeling their minds slowly slip away. The third vegetable to make a real effort to eat after 60 is beets, especially cooked beets and beet greens. This one gets overlooked far too often, and that is a mistake, because beets may be one of the best vegetables for supporting healthy blood flow, especially to the brain. As people get older, one of the quiet changes that can affect memory, focus, and mental speed is reduced circulation in the small vessels that feed the brain. Blood vessels lose flexibility. They do not open as well. Certain brain areas may get less oxygen and fewer nutrients over time. That matters a lot because the brain depends on steady blood flow every minute of the day. Beets contain natural nitrates, and the body can turn those nitrates into nitric oxide. Nitric oxide helps blood vessels relax and widen. That means better circulation, and better circulation can mean better support for the brain and the heart. Some research has shown that older adults who consume beet juice before exercise had improved blood flow to important brain regions involved in higher thinking, working memory, and decision-making. That is not a small point. That is one of the most practical food-based ways to support the aging brain. But the benefits do not stop there. The same pathway that helps blood flow to the brain can also help lower blood pressure and improve overall vascular function. Beets also contain plant pigments called betalains, which help fight oxidative stress and inflammation. That matters because chronic inflammation does not only wear down joints and arteries, it also touches the brain. Then there is another helpful compound in beets called betaine, which may help control homocysteine levels. High homocysteine has been linked to heart disease, stroke, and cognitive decline. So once again, we have one simple food helping more than one aging system at the same time. That is exactly the kind of vegetable older adults should notice. And please do not throw away the beet greens. The tops are edible, nutritious, and worth using. They contain vitamin K, calcium, iron, and protective plant compounds. Sauté them the same way you would cook other leafy greens. The flavor is earthy but mild, and they can become part of a meal very easily. As for the beets themselves, roasting is one of the best ways to eat them. A little olive oil, a little salt, some oven time, and their natural sweetness comes out beautifully. You can slice them into bowls, add them to salads after cooking, blend them into soups, or drink them as juice if that works for you. And here is the important part many people need to hear. If this all feels like a lot, do not turn it into a giant project. You do not need to rebuild your whole kitchen in one weekend. Start with one move. Cook spinach instead of blending it raw. Add garlic to dinner 3 or 4 nights this week. Buy bok choy or collard greens and make them once. Roast a tray of beets and see how you feel. That is how real change works. Not with pressure, with repetition. Small changes done often are far more powerful than perfect plans that never last. Your body can still respond, even now, even after 60, 70, or 80. Gut bacteria can shift within weeks. Blood pressure can respond within days. Better circulation can begin with your very next meal. That is the encouraging part of this whole conversation. Aging changes the body, yes, but the body still listens. It still responds to good input. And that means food still matters very much, maybe more than ever. So when you step back and look at the full picture, the message is simple. Be careful with large amounts of raw spinach. Be cautious with raw cruciferous vegetables, especially if your thyroid or digestion is already struggling. Pay attention to nightshades like raw tomatoes, peppers, eggplant, and white potatoes if joint pain, reflux, or sensitivity seems to follow them. Then lean into the foods that help more than they hurt. Use garlic often. Make cooked leafy greens a regular part of your week. Bring beets and beet greens into your meals for circulation, pressure support, and brain-friendly blood flow. These are not random ideas. They line up with the real changes that happen in the body after 60. And no, this is not about chasing fear or becoming obsessed with every bite. It is about eating with awareness. It is about matching your food choices to the body you live in now, not the body you had 30 years ago. If you have specific health conditions, kidney issues, thyroid concerns, reflux, arthritis, or if you take prescription medicine, speak with your doctor about how these foods fit into your personal situation. That part matters because general advice is useful, but personal medical guidance is still the gold standard. If this opened your eyes even a little, hold on to it. Write down the 6 vegetables, share this with someone who needs it, and tell me in your own mind which change you would try first. Because that first step is often the one that starts everything else. Keep watching your habits, keep listening to your body. And remember this, getting older does not mean giving up. It means getting smarter. And sometimes that smarter life begins with what is sitting on your plate tonight.